I think we've got a few more people online now, so we'll kick off. So good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I know today's session there was a quite short notice, and there's still a fair few people sort of enjoying the last few days of the school holiday, so it's great to see so many people joining us. My name's Debbie Slater. I'm a local authority technical consultant here at WRAP. And I'm joined by Jackie and Craig, who are campaign managers for the Recycle Now brand, and they're going to take you through our plans for Recycle Week and talk you through the toolkit. We're also joined by Dan Jones, who represents Radley Yelder, the creative agency that we work with to deliver the Recycle Now campaign, and Dan's going to be able to cover any technical questions about all the assets and the toolkit. So just by way of introduction, for those people who don't know who WRAP are, we work with governments, businesses and citizens to work towards a world where resources are used more sustainably, and I'd encourage you to look at our website if you'd like to know more about what we do. Just the usual housekeeping to start. The session is being recorded. We will make it available on our website once we've finished today, so if there's anything that you want to recap on, or you've got any colleagues that haven't been able to join us today, they will be able to view it on the website. We will have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation, but as things pop into your head, just bob them down in the chat function and we'll go through them at the end. Please also feel free to use the chat function to let us know where you're joining us from today and any plans that you might have for Recycle Week as well. We'd love to know what you've got coming up. So that leads us nicely into the topic of today. Recycle Week is going to be running from the 20th to the 26th of September. It's been running since 2004 and it's the largest national annual recycling campaign. It's the one week of the year where retailers, brands and waste management companies all come together to motivate the public to recycle more often. The week's been growing over the last 17 years and we're hoping that this one's going to be even bigger and better. So I'll hand over to Craig, Jackie and Dan, and they will tell you all about how you can help us to do that.
Brilliant. Thanks, Debbie. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, as Debbie said, we do it kind of every year now, a quick run through on the webinar of our plans. It's really a great opportunity for us to share with you kind of what we've been up to, what we've got, I suppose, in the pipeline, what we've been planning, and kind of things for you to look out for over the week. Because without you not kind of amplifying our messages, Recycle Week's never as big as kind of what it could be. So yeah, we'll go through that, as Debbie says, and it's a great opportunity for you to talk about kind of the editable assets that we've launched. So kind of an opportunity for you to ask us any questions about how you use them. As we say, Dan's here to kind of support you on that. So if you've got any questions, we'll pick those up at the end.
So yeah, thanks Debbie. Hi everybody. As Debbie said, yeah, Recycle Week's been running since 2004, and it is the one week of the year where we try and galvanise everybody to come together to encourage citizens to recycle more of the right things more often. The dates are on the next slide, 20th to the 26th of September. I'm sure you're all well aware of that. And as ever, we're trying to make this week's Recycle Week bigger and better than ever before.
Great. So in terms of the focus for Recycle Week this year, we're very much linking it to climate change. So a good few months ago, when we sit down with Radley Yelder, our agency, who Dan works for, we look at kind of what can we tap into, what's the emotive, what's the emotion that we can really kind of link recycling to. So this year, ahead of COP26, we really thought, the only thing that we could do was tap into the whole climate change agenda and how recycling can really help fight climate change. And every year we have some kind of words and manifesto that we pull together that really kind of inspires us, which you can see there on the screen. So the climate crisis is a tough subject, but in the last year, we've shown we're a nation of even tougher subjects. Many things have happened over which we've had no control, and the climate crisis is one thing we can actively do something about. Every one of us, every day, through small but powerful habits like recycling. We need to do more, we need to do it now, and we need to do it together. So this is really the inspiration behind kind of why we're getting behind the climate change agenda. So all our messaging that you will see on the assets that we've created for you and the assets that we will be putting out, all linked to climate change in some way, whether that's the CO2 kind of equivalents, or whether it's kind of the whole transformation of using recyclable materials rather than raw materials. So that is really the focus of the messaging.
And so the theme for this year's Recycle Week, if you don't already know, is Step It Up this Recycle Week. I'm just going to read out a little bit more of the detail of the manifesto, and you may see some of these words being used in the voiceover for the film this year. You won't see them all, but this is very much trying to give you, the view of where we're coming from and what's been the inspiration behind the development of all of the assets and the week itself. So we're coming for you, climate change. The last 12 months might have been tough, but we've learned a lot about pulling together, about not being beaten, and we're ready to take this fight to the next level. The earth is heating up, filling up, drying up, using up. Now it's time for us to step it up to take the climate crisis down. At home in our everyday lives, we're going to give greenhouse gases the finger, send plastic pollution packing, and cut carbon emissions down to size by recycling more of the right things more often. So scream it from the rooftops, shout about it in the streets, all across the nation. We're stepping it up this Recycle Week. So as I say, that's the inspiration behind the development of the assets and the film itself. And yeah, we want to try and be a little bit edgy this year and really capture the attention. There's going to be an awful lot around climate change with COP26 coming up. So we really feel we need to stand out this year during Recycle Week.
Great. Thanks, Jackie. And as with every year, we have what we call our campaign lockup. So this year we put Step It Up this Recycle Week into a great kind of visual lockup. Last year we had Together We Recycle. So this is something that you'll be able to take, and Jackie will talk through the assets that are downloadable in a couple of slides time. But this is essentially the look and feel of where we start with the week. So that's that. Just to add in that this year, again, we did it last year, we've started to reach out to organisations who are donating to Recycle Week. So you can see there the list of brands that are getting behind the week. This really allows us to go, so it's bigger and better, with their financial donations. We kind of add that to what we receive from our DEFRA funding and allow us to explore so many more avenues to get our messages out there. So it's really good to have these organisations on board.
So what are we doing this week for Recycle Week? We've got a range of assets available, which hopefully you may have seen on our resource library. They essentially are made up with 4 different assets. You can see the 4 different ones there, top left. So a couple of them focus on messaging around the comparison between recycling saving CO2 and the equivalent of another sustainable behaviour. So there's one around driving down emissions, so looking at the equivalent of the impact of recycling every year around taking 12 million cars off the road. And then the next one along looks at the comparison between recycling and 27 million of us turning vegetarian. And then there's a couple, as Craig said, which are looking more at energy saving messages. So they're the 4 key assets. And we've got those available as static assets for Instagram and Facebook, and then static assets for Twitter. So they're slightly different sizes. And for all of those static assets, they are editable. So if you wanted to include your logo to make it look, to tailor it essentially for your local authority, there is a space for you to add your logo in there, which is great. And that is all covered in the campaign toolkit, which you can see bottom left. That talks you through all of the assets available and how to incorporate your logo as well. And as Craig and Debbie have said, we've got Dan on the call here. If you've got any queries while we're on the call, obviously, you can ask Dan. We also have those assets as social animations. They're not editable, but we'll be putting those out on our channels. And it would be great if you can like and share those as widely as you can. So they're the key assets that we've got available. Can we email the toolkit? We can, Catherine, but we do have a link for our resource library, which I know Debbie has. I think, would you mind just putting it in the chat, Debbie? and you can just download everything related to the assets from there, Catherine. Maybe easier for you, to be honest with you. As well as all of those assets, we have just uploaded a template press release for you, and this is for you to tailor again to reflect what's happening in your local authority. So you'll see the wording in there. There's all sorts of little spaces where you can tailor it and put in your own local authority, and you can talk about the items that you collect locally as well. So please feel free to download that as well, and you can use that to try and sell into your local PR to try and get some coverage. All the messaging in that template press release reflects the national press release that we're going to be selling in direct to national papers at the time as well. So that's the assets.
Yeah, I think it's important it says, well, we'll be using these assets on our social channels. So the beauty about local authorities using them as well as us is we'll get that amplification, and we'll get all of those assets hopefully seen by millions of people.
Also, just to add, sorry, if for any reason you can't or don't want to use those assets, the campaign lockup, so the Step It Up this Recycle Week, is also available for you to use.
Thanks. Okay, so moving on to some of the other activities. So this year we will have celebrity ambassadors fronting Recycle Week. So it's been a while since we've been able to get ambassadors on board, but again, because of the donations we received, we're able to kind of do more exciting things. So we have JJ Chalmers there. He is going to be kind of the main ambassador for the week. So JJ, you may know from the Invictus Games athlete. He's been on Strictly Come Dancing. More recently, he was doing the Olympics coverage and the Paralympics at the moment. So yes, he's very much out there at the moment in the media. So we are working with him to do some media interviews in Recycle Week, as well as he'll be supporting from his social platforms as well. In addition to that, we've got Sarah Cox. So Sarah will be doing social media activity. So, very much a household name, DJ, TV, and, radio host. A huge following kind of on her social channels. You can see there 1.1 million followers. So it's great to have Sarah. Will be doing kind of various, tweets and posts on her channels to really support the week. In addition to, I suppose, the big names, we will be looking at influencers as well. And we've got those into kind of varying levels of influencers. Some will be using micro influencers or hero influencers, as we call them. Really, the difference is the amount of followers that they have. But it's good for us to kind of get varying sized influencers, because they all have I suppose different benefits in reaching their audiences. So we expect to get around 15 influencers to create some really educational content for us about recycling and how they're doing it to help fight climate change. So again, kind of supporting the big ones like JJ and Sarah. We'll have those kind of mid, micro and hero influencers doing activity throughout the week.
And another activation that we've been able to carry out as a direct result of the donations is we're having 3 huge murals painted, which we think is very exciting. And they will be in London, Newcastle and Belfast. So if you're in any of those cities, we'll be doing a really big push through PR to try and get some coverage for those murals. All the murals will be painted using paint that absorbs CO2. And they'll all be painted by local artists. So you can see the artist names there at the top. As I say, they are huge, and we've briefed in the theme of the week, and we'll be having a look at some sort of early sketches to decide which kind of murals that we want them to actually paint. When they are painting them, they will be filmed by a videographer. So we'll have some footage that we'll be putting out on our social channels as well. So do look out for those, and particularly, as I say, if you're in London, Newcastle or Belfast. And alongside that, we're creating another film. So we've created a film for the last 2 years and won awards for both years, which has been brilliant. So this is very much work in progress. The filming has been done, and we're going to be looking at the first edits next week. So we're really looking forward to that. Again, it's going to be pretty hard-hitting and emotive. And again, we'll be putting that out through our channels. It will be available on YouTube, and we're hoping to get lots and lots of views as we did last year for that. Something else that will be going out just in Northern Ireland are radio adverts. These are very well received in Northern Ireland, so we're going down that route again and again. These are being put together to reflect really the messaging in the film. So if you're in Northern Ireland, you may well hear some adverts coming out.
Great. We'll be sponsoring, doing a partnership with 1 Minute Briefs. You may remember we did this last year. If you didn't see it last year, it's a 1 Minute Briefs is a Twitter-based, it's a daily advertising competition where we pop a brief on with 1 Minute Briefs on Twitter, and creative people kind of respond to the brief in the kind of medium that they use. So lots of graphic designers kind of posting, kind of pulling together adverts. You can see the ones on the side of the screen there that we had last year. And it kind of gives a really big buzz on Twitter. It gets a lot of people using the hashtag. It really starts to generate a buzz. And it has a great way of reaching people. So last year, it generated about nearly 5 million in potential reach, with over 180 creative entries, which is great. It's just another strand to getting our messages out there, getting people to kind of interpret our brief and create content. So yeah, we're really looking forward to see on the Monday of Recycle Week how that lands. As with every year, we'll have an engaging landing page. So recyclenow.com will create the page. We're just in the process of finalising that, ready for it to go live in Recycle Week. So by all means, use that if you're doing any activity on social yourself and you want to drive kind of your followers to somewhere where there'll be more information about Recycle Week. We'll circulate the link. We can put that down in the chat. It's recyclenow.com/Recycle Week. So yeah, we can. It'd be great if you could drive people to there. We'll have the locator presence there, so people can punch in their postcode and find out what they can recycle in their area, as well as loads of other call to actions on how people could step it up this Recycle Week.
And then we will be doing some out-of-home activities. So just in Northern Ireland, we'll have some out-of-home kiosks, as you can see there, the visual on the left-hand side. And in England, we'll be focusing again on having major buildings lit up green to show their support of the week. So we've got the London Eye there, Blackpool Tower will be lit up green, Tower 42 in London, again, we'll have the swoosh projected all week, and Gateshead Millennium Bridge. We're still in discussions with some other big monuments, but they will be the key ones. So I guess if you're in a position to be able to speak to anybody locally, a local town hall, or any local monuments you have that you think might be able to change their bulbs to green, please do so, because it all helps to really amplify the message and can attract some really nice PR. So please do go ahead and have those conversations if there's anywhere you think might be suitable for that. And then, as I mentioned before, the local press release is available for you. You can see an image of it on the right-hand side there with the red bits that you're able to change. And this is very much in line with the national press release, which will be sold in to key outlets during Recycle Week. All of these are embargoed until the week, as are all of the assets, to ensure that we have, the biggest impact when we launch on the Monday morning. So please adhere to that embargo. That would be much appreciated. And that's kind of it from us. And that's a whistle-stop tour of all of the activities we'll be running during the week. I guess we can open up the floor to you now if you've got any questions or queries or anything you'd like to share that you're doing for Recycle Week. It'd be great to hear from you.
Yeah, if anybody does have any questions, just put them down in the chat and we'll run through them. Great to hear everything that's going on. Looks like there's some really good things planned, and hope that you've also got some good stuff planned by way of joining in. Catherine's mentioned that she's still struggling to download the toolkit from the website. Is that something that we can have a look at our end just to make sure that everything's okay? Maybe get back to Catherine separately if unless anybody else is having similar experiences. It'd be useful to know.
We can certainly have a look at that. Wasn't aware of any problems, but yeah, we can definitely have a look at that.
Great stuff. George has also asked, will we be doing any translated assets for areas with diverse communities? Do we have a sort of stance on that at all?
That's a good question. We haven't created any assets in kind of any other languages. It's something that I suppose if you have those communities within your area, that's by all means do. But for us to create assets across, I suppose, a broad spectrum of languages, we wouldn't have the budget to do that. It's a great question. It's something we can think more about kind of when we are developing campaigns. But by all means, yes, if you have those and you have those services internally that you can translate the kind of the theme into, then please by all means do.
Thanks, Craig. This one's probably for you, Dan. Zoe's mentioned that they have all right downloading the items, but having some problems editing. Obviously has to be done in design. Is that a standard sort of package that most local authorities would have access to? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, everyone should have access to InDesign. It's what we've kind of just supplied these in historically for the last few years. I have a feeling this may be around the fact that the headlines are outlined in the files, and that's intentional. So people are not meant to actually edit the headlines. The headlines are fixed headlines that you're not meant to edit. Does that answer the question, Zoe?
So it comes back to us. Just in the meantime, Paul's mentioned, I don't know if this is one for Dan or you and Jackie, Craig. Some duplicates of assets. The static car asset is a duplicate of the static veggie asset. Is that an error in the assets?
It's a good. Well, we didn't realise that. I think that's if that is happening in the download, that may be something that's been I suppose maybe incorrectly uploaded. We can look at that, Paul, and make sure that all the downloads are what we say they are. So we'll have a look at that. Apologies for that, but it shouldn't be a duplicate.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the artwork files. The artwork files are fine. I think that must be an issue in the download.
Yeah. Okay, we can have a look at that. Thanks for bringing that to.
Yeah, good spot, Paul. We'll deal with that one. There's not many more questions coming through. Just in case anybody's got anything else. Could you just give us a reminder of when the materials are embargoed to, and any particular sort of hashtags that people should be using over the course of the week?
Yeah, they're embargoed until the 20th of September, so they can obviously download them now and start adding their logo in, but they can't put anything else until the 20th, so we really want that big bang on the Monday morning of Recycle Week. And the hashtag is #Recycle Week. Very simple.
Okay. I don't know if any of the people online have got things coming up that they sort of want to tell us about, or if they've got any plans for lighting up any of their own buildings green. It'd be really nice to hear about that. Or just in the meantime, Zoe's come back. She has had some issues once the file is open and in design. The artwork layers are coming up, but they're not sort of linking properly. Does that make sense to you, Dan?
They are linking correctly. It's just the way that InDesign displays the images, so you don't have kind of like a high-res screen displaying the whole time. So when you come to exporting those files, it will link to the correct file and it will give you a high-res output when you do it at the end. So there is a way that you can get it to show the high-res as you're working on it, but it will probably slow down your machine quite a bit. If you was to go to, let me just double check. If you was to go to view and then go down to the display performance and then select high quality display, that will render the page that you're seeing as high res, and you'll be able to see the images perfectly.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Hopefully that helps, Zoe. If you're struggling, come back to us and I'm sure we can help.
She just answered again. Do you want to, if you check the links panel and make sure there's not a red icon next to the image name, and if there is a red icon next to the image name, if you select on that file name, go to the little burger menu at the top of the links palette and select relink, and then if you find the images that are included within your download, it should relink it all back up again.
fingers crossed that helps, Zoe, but do get in touch if you're still struggling.
Yeah, happy to follow up further, Zoe, if you need some more help. Great
stuff. Thanks, Dan. Sean has asked, in terms of lighting up buildings green, is that something that we're looking for people to do all week? Is there a specific day where we want to sort of go big bang with the green buildings, or?
I suppose all week would be great. You know, if someone's changing the bulbs over, if we could get them to leave it all week, that's fantastic. For example, here, our office is based in Banbury. We've got the town hall to go and light the town hall green, and they did that all week. If they won't, then the start of the week is the best, is more preferable. That's when we see the most activity on social. We see the most activity in PR. So yeah, if you're restricted to only a few days, please go for the Monday and Tuesday of Recycle Week. But yes, if we can get the whole week, that'd be fantastic.
Great stuff. There's no more key questions coming through. Is there any other kind of nuggets of information or hints and tips from you, maybe Dan, that you think would be useful for people to know, or do you think we've kind of covered everything off?
I think it's probably just worth highlighting that when people are opening the InDesign files, just to make sure that they have the layers palette open. And once you've got that layers palette open, you'll see that there's different logos that you can be switched on and off. So if it's kind of like, if you just want a Britain logo, you can switch that logo on. If you wanted a Northern Ireland logo, you could switch that logo on. And there's also a base file for you to be able to edit your own kind of localized mark if you haven't already got one. So that should be included within the downloads as well, and it's got instructions on how you create your own localized mark.
So I think just to clarify, localized mark, that's kind of taking the logo and having, say, Oxfordshire Recycles or Hackney Recycles. So for those local authorities that use the localized mark, that's absolutely done. It's there for them to be used.
And if people are having any issues, is it the partner enquiries email that they should contact us on to get them sorted?
Yeah. I think just one more thing from me, it's kind of linked to when to do activity. Again, kind of on social, it would be great if we could really make a big buzz about it on the Monday morning. Every year we kind of put our kind of request that if you are going to do activity online, make sure you're kind of active on the Monday morning, going out there with the assets, but also your own tweets, using the hashtag. The more buzz we can get, the more success, it gets picked up by other social kind of platforms, local media pick up on that. So it's amazing that as soon as things, for example, start trending, we get local media interviews. So radios will be ringing us up saying, can they have a spokesperson for an event or for a show? So yeah, it's really important that we get that noise happening at the start of the week.
That's great. Yeah, and Zoe's mentioned that they're holding 3 events in 2 of their local towns in key supermarkets. Social media takeover, and they're asking residents to ask questions on the Monday. So it's like they're going for a big splash at the beginning of the week as well. So that's great to know. And it's great to see that people, obviously last year there was the opportunity to get out and do things was very minimal. So it'd be nice for people to do a bit more face-to-face stuff this year, won't it?
Sorry, I don't know where you're from, Zoe. Whereabouts are you? Oh, great. Okay. Brilliant. Well, we've got somebody who lives in your local authority, so we'll get her to look out for everything going on and share it with us. Great.
Great stuff. Well, I think that probably brings us to a close then. Are you happy, Craig, Jack, and that we've imparted all the information that we need to today? If anybody needs anything else.
Yeah, we'll go and check that link straight away. So maybe just hold fire on downloading anything right this second. We'll go check the links out with the digital team, make sure that all the files are correctly uploaded, and so when you do download them, they are all right.
Great stuff. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Craig, Jack and Dan, for going through all that information. Just a reminder of future webinars. We've got one running on Thursday, the 23rd of September, that will go through the results of our training needs survey and all our sort of guidance and support that we'll be offering for local authorities going forward. So it'd be great for people to join us then, and there'll be information about that in the e-zine that's going out next week. But other than that, just to wish everybody a happy Recycle a week. Hope that everything goes well for you, and we'll be really interested to see and hear what you've got planned and how it goes.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.